Now, if you guys remember the two ladies from Just Stop Oil that threw borscht on a Van Gogh painting and then immediately glued themselves to the wall and had a speech about environmentalism. Yeah, it turns out that they didn't just get a fine. It turns out that they got 2 years for this. And it's interesting because the comment section is actually divided. Overwhelmingly, people are agreeing with this. In fact, there are some people that say they should have gotten more, while other people are actually defending this. So I want to address some of the criticisms, suggesting that they shouldn't have gotten 2 years. So the first one is like, my free speech. Like, but where's my free speech? And as far as I can tell, this is happening in Britain where people are arrested over emojis online. What free speech are you talking about? Like, have you done the activism to make sure that Britain even has free speech before you can even make the argument? But secondly, it's in the name, it's free speech, right? Like, you need to flap your mouth, not throw borscht on a Van Gogh painting. Throwing borscht on a Van Gogh painting is not speech. It's an action. It's vandalism. And the fact that you're doing this to a very expensive painting, well, it's even worse. They will use the argument, yeah, but it's got a protective glass. So, like, all they have to do is wipe it. It doesn't matter. Like, this painting is generating tens of millions of dollars, probably more, to the nation state through tourism. Like, there are people from all over the world that travel specifically to see works of art. So you are basically interrupting their vacation. You are basically telling them that, no, you're not going to see this. Here's some borscht over it. And then it's also the criminal element. The fact that they were, oh, we're just going to get a fine and we're going to get off, right? So, like, there's no remorse there. There's no understanding that what they have done is wrong. So a correction is required in such cases. Now, of course, the people are saying, well, yeah, hold on a little bit. Like, why are you guys so mean to them? Why don't you support their cause? Like, why do you support these activists and you don't support the other? Well, every activist has a political message, right? And most people agree with some messages and they disagree with others. In this situation, the message that they are trying to raise awareness is one of the loudest messages in the fucking world. I mean, the Greens managed to sweep the European Union elections. Not these ones, but the previous ones. And you cannot open the television. You cannot go on the internet. You cannot just use the Google search engine without them stuffing environmentalists down your throat. Everyone knows the message. You do not need to throw borscht on a Van Gogh painting for people to be aware of the message. The only difference is that by now, almost everybody has heard the message. It's just that some people agree with it and some people disagree with it. It turns out, from my personal opinion, just going on social media in places that aren't censored, that overwhelmingly people disagree with the message. And the reason they disagree with the message is because the consequences are a direct lowering of their living conditions, right? So, raising taxes, trying to inconvenience people who are driving cars, either by adding extra taxes or in some cases making it difficult to get older models of cars, trying to remove gas stoves. Like all of this nonsense is affecting the common man, right? So, like, the solution to fix global warming is to give more power to the government. But what are you going to give more power to the people? And then it's also the ideology of anti-natalism. Like, in order to save Mother Gaia, we need to have less kids. And the question is like, okay, so we're saving Mother Gaia for whom then? For whom? Because if you're not saving it for people, Mother Gaia will be there anyway. Like, what, are we saving it for the animals? Like, fuck the animals. I don't care about the animals, right? So, like, if you're not saving Mother Gaia for the future generation, and you're saying, well, no, people need to just have less offsprings, then what's the point? And we never have this conversation. It's never under debate, right? And because of that, it infuriates people. People who do not feel represented, people who do not get to speak out about their concerns are upset. So now you have these activists, and, you know, like, granted, these ladies threw borscht on a Van Gogh painting, but you have other activists that block roads, that block the working man from being able to reach his job so he can feed his family. And while these ladies didn't do any of that, but they're guilty by association. Like, it's very difficult to convince a guy who is sympathizing with someone else who couldn't go to work because some chucklehead decided to throw a protest and block the road, and then you're throwing borscht on the painting, like, yeah, he's going to feel the same way about you because you're in the same camp, pretty much. And it also encourages more people to do this shit, again, for a message that's already being spread. Like, we already know. You're not protesting the government, you're protesting on behalf of the government. Like, the government is happy with the environmentalist crisis because it can just justify more taxation, it can justify cracking down on people's liberties. It's like, oh, let's limit public travel and all that shit, right? So, like, the government is happy. You're protesting on behalf of the elites. And you're protesting against the people when you block roads. Or you're throwing borscht on paintings to ruin the holiday experience of some folks. I know it doesn't sound like much, right? Like, it doesn't sound like much, but think it this way. I grew up in a family that wasn't very wealthy. So actually traveling abroad was a rare experience. Something that some people do every 5 or 10 years, right? And they get to travel somewhere and they get to see that painting only once in their lifetime. And it just so happens that they see it covered in borscht. Like, I know it doesn't sound like much. Again, if you're a rich person and you travel all the time, or maybe you live there and you get to see that painting whenever you want, it's one thing. But for someone that comes from across the world in order to see a work of art that they can only see once in their lifetime and they spend a lot of money to get there, yeah, it's a little bit inconsiderate, isn't it? For what? For a message that they already know. In fact, they're going to hate the message even more now. I'm generally curious, though, you know, like, if this type of messaging actually persuades people, like, if there's someone that didn't think global warming is serious, but after seeing the borscht on the Van Gogh painting, they're like, you know what? Yeah, no, I think they have a point. Yeah. Or maybe if you stop someone from going to work, they'll be like, yeah, you know, no, I need to pay more taxes to the government. No, definitely. I need to pay more taxes because I need to have less kids. No, I need to have less kids because if I don't have less kids, then the planet isn't going to be okay, so. Can anyone explain to me what they're thinking? Like, honestly, the only thing that makes sense is if they're doing it for attention. And they got attention, 2 years of it, in prison. So, yeah, like, this is one of those rare cases where I agree with the justice system. An example has to be made because right after the sentencing, apparently 3 more people threw borscht on paintings. But I guess you have to constantly arrest them until there's not going to be people throwing borscht on paintings. Like, eventually you're going to run out of people that are willing to throw borscht. The thing that I don't understand, though, is with all the censorship and, you know, like, social media collaborating with the government, and now Telegram is collaborating with the government, everyone is collaborating, right? How can you not see who's funding these people? Because I don't think they're doing it for free. And I also find it unlikely that they just wake up one morning and they're like, you know what I need to do today? Throw borscht on a Van Gogh painting. Because, you know, I had my formative years as well, and I never woke up thinking about that. You know, I'm going to go to a Romanian museum to champion some sort of message, and I'm going to throw borscht on the statue. Like, no one does that, right? So, like, someone is instigating them to do it. So there is an ideology there that's being sent to them, and they think that it's a good idea to do it. And because there's so many copycats, like, there needs to be a leader. There needs to be. Why is the government incapable of finding out who it is? Why can't they cut their funding? I seen right-wingers say some edgy shit online. Immediately they get deplatformed from all the payment processors and all that other shit. Why can't it happen to Just Stop Oil? Like, why can't they get defunded? Why can't we find out who the leaders are, where the payments are coming from? I mean, you know, again, you have a person tweeting some emojis on Facebook, and immediately the government finds out about it. It's just really bizarre, isn't it? Like, with all these invasions of privacy, and with all these regulations, and with all the ability that the government has now to verify almost every single detail about a person, why is it incapable to stopping bad guys? Because I thought that's the whole point, right? Like, this is why the government is invading in people's privacies, in order to stop bad guys. And bad guys are in the museums throwing borscht. Again, after they got sentenced, 3 other people threw borscht. I don't know if all 3 of them threw at the same time before I get fact-checked. Maybe one of them did, but there were 3 there. Let me know what you guys think. And as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.